is 20% off. This includes coats. This is Connie inviting you to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or DeWittDailyNews.com.
Happy holidays from me, Russ Utterback.
And from me, Ryan Utterback.
And from the other Ryan Dalton.
We at Utterback Real Estate thank you for your business.
To buy or sell real estate in DeWitt County, click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Chip Flory here, the host of AgriTalk, the nation's longest-running agriculture talk show. I'm here to remind our listeners on Central Illinois' agriculture station, WHOW, that you can hear our show weekday mornings from 10 to 11 on WHOW's many platforms. On the Big 1520 across Central Illinois, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and now on 106.5 FM in Logan County, and on the WHOW app. AgriTalk on WHOW.
News time is 9 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Monday. Top of the morning from the newsroom of Regional Radio and DeWittDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this expanded 7 o'clock newscast. Brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters. Here's what we have coming up for you in news on this Monday. The DeWitt County Board will reshuffle tonight and swear in 2 new board members. A local veterans group is promoting the benefits for the homeless veterans out there this holiday season. That story in news here this morning. And Monticello schools are celebrating another positive school report card. All of that and more comes up in news on this Monday. We stream to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. The DeWitt County Board will reshuffle tonight and swear in 2 new board members. Outgoing DeWitt County Board Chair Dan Matthews indicates the board has wrapped up the budget process and approved it. Now it is on to bringing on those new board members and establishing its leadership.
The last official meeting of this fiscal year is actually tonight. We have to approve the final budget tonight, and then the board will actually have a special meeting on December 2nd. And as you said, 2 new board members, Chris Hammer and Rob Walters, coming in, replacing myself and Brian Riddle for the next. They'll have 4-year terms, along with 6 other board members that were 4 other board members that were reelected in November. And so they'll meet on the 2nd. They'll vote for new chairman, vice chair, set up the new committees. So they'll have a lot to do and see who is going to be the next chairman.
Matthews is the Clinton Board of Education president and works with incoming board member Chris Hammer. Rob Walters will also be sworn in tonight as well.
The 2 guys that are coming on, I know Chris very well as far as serving on other boards with him, and I know he'll do a good job for the county, and I've heard nothing but good things about Rob as well. So, I look forward to them, and having some new faces and fresh ideas on there is always good. I've seen that with the new board members that came on just 2 years ago as well. So I think it's good to get new people on the board instead of the same people year after year doing a good job, but new ideas are always welcome, and things change quickly. So I think the board will be in good hands with our new people, and look forward to seeing who is going to be the next chairman of DeWitt County Board.
Matthews helped to lead the county through the sale of the Clinton Lake Marina. He has said he will remain on the Board of Education despite stepping away from the DeWitt County Board. A local veterans group is doing everything it can to combat the homeless veterans epidemic. Josh Thielen is the department adjutant for the American Legion and explains as the winter months approach and the temperatures drop, it's important for members of the community to do everything they can to lend a hand to the homeless.
There is so much information out there for homeless veterans that even in recent time, I'm starting to learn and figure out and find out about. And I've been the service officer for our post for a few years. But as we get into the winter months and we know that there's homeless veterans, we know there's just homeless in general. It's such I want to say it's more of a pandemic than anything else. It's unfortunate circumstances that have put some of them there. It's unfortunate situations, whether it's personal issues or just bad luck. There's really no reason that we can't help each other get out of those situations and help provide them with that information when it's available.
Often, veterans come home from the military and have nowhere to go. Thielen explains what life will be like at home doesn't always cross the mind of a veteran before they've arrived back.
When you think about it on the veteran side, as an active duty military member, he's finishing up that 4 years, and he says, you know what, I'm done. I just can't do the military anymore. I got to get out. Maybe he had rough family life beforehand, doesn't really have anybody to come home to.
Mm-hmm.
He decides he's done. He gets out, and now he's got no home, nowhere to go, and he's not sure who to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
He's not sure about all the resources that are out there because it's not a thought that really came across when he was planning on getting out.
Right.
We don't really think about, well, do I have a house to go back to? Can I go back with my family? What kind of situation am I going to be in when I get out of the military?
Mm-hmm. Thielen also notes multiple free and confidential resources like the homeless veterans hotline are available. He says most of these situations are temporary.
One of the best ones that I've got is to call 1-877-424-3838. That is the national call center for homeless veterans.
Okay.
It is free and confidential, trained VA counselors. So not only do they have the capability of helping you with the homeless situation, but they can also help you. Maybe you have a VA claim or you have something else. They can help get you those kind of guidelines that might help get you some extra income too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great tool if you're really just needing some information or a counselor to help you get through a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these situations are temporary if you're willing to put in the effort to get out of it. There's a lot of people out there who are probably really needing the help and they're not sure where to go.
Mm-hmm.
In extreme cases, you lose your job, you lose your family, you lose, just everything seems to crumble around you and you just don't know where to go. Yep. Now we're sitting in two situations. One, you're looking at homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
So call 877-424-3838. Get that help on the homeless side. So another thing that we start to see with veterans as they face homelessness is suicide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a rough situation to be in. Call 988 and that goes for anybody.
Learn more about all the resources the Legion offers for veterans by calling them at 217-935-5183 or visit their Clinton location at 219 North Elizabeth Street in Clinton. Schools across the state are receiving their grades from the Illinois State Board of Education. Adam Clapp is the superintendent of Monticello Schools and explains they've always scored high during this time of the year, and that trend continued this year.
Yeah, so, historically we always score high in our school report card data. Our test scores are relatively high when you look over the last several years. We continue to trend well with our scores, and I would like to, point out, like this year, especially at our middle school, we've continued to be in the top 2 or 3 with our comparable schools and on the English side of our testing. And this year we had a jump in our math scores, which was great too at the middle school. And I would just say that's a testament to some of the things we've been implementing and our teachers doing an awesome job. And at the end of the day, our kids, we have great kids here, great kids and great families that are supportive of the school system, and they do a great job with our standardized testing. And we also had a big jump in our 5th grade math scores this past year too. So I think we implemented a new math curriculum 2 years ago, and so we're going to see those scores continue to creep up. We would like it to all be, closer to that 70-80% proficiency immediately, but we know it's a process.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we have been talking about as an admin team and within our buildings is across the state, we're kind of looking at this chronic absenteeism issue.
Like many schools, Clapp says that since the pandemic, Monticello has struggled to get some students to come to school, whether those absences are excused or unexcused.
Since COVID, we've seen an uptick in absences. Mm-hmm. When you start really breaking it down, if you're missing 10 days of school, that's 2 weeks of instruction that, yes, you can play catch up with Google Classroom, and there's some resources that are out there that can help you catch up quickly when you're absent, but nothing replaces that in-person instruction. So, we're working with students and staff to better meet those needs as well.
Monticello administration and staff will get together after receiving the report card data to figure out how to continue to grow. Clapp notes he never wants to become complacent.
Overall, we're happy with how we scored on our IAR and our SAT. I think the one thing for us is to never get complacent. So as soon as those report cards come out, we sit down as an admin team and get with our buildings and take a look at where we scored well and where we fell a little bit short, and then continue those discussions throughout the year of how we can get better. Yeah. And I think the main thing to also note is a standardized test is one snapshot in time. So I think the big thing for us is we've always said when Monticello seniors walk across the stage of graduation, we feel that we have the best advantages when they go into their next step of life, whether it's college or their career. And we put out a very good product in our school district. When our students graduate, we feel we provided them the most well-rounded education process in terms of their experiences in the classroom, in the fine arts, and in extracurriculars. So we try to focus on improving test scores, but at the same time, not losing focus on educating our whole student and things of that nature.
According to Clapp, the report card system the Illinois State Board of Education uses is very complicated and takes a lot of factors into play when giving designations to schools.
There's a lot of factors that play into that score. Your chronic absenteeism, your like at the high school, your graduation rate, the 5 Essentials Climate Survey and student participation in that, your English and math proficiency and your growth standards. All those things play into your summative designation score and are weighted in that fashion. And then you're given a cut score, and then that cut score is stacked up against all the other schools in the state, and then the top 10% of those scores fall under the exemplary category, which is the highest designation you can get. Mm-hmm. And then the majority of schools fall in commendable, which would be basically you meet all the requirements. None of your subgroups have fallen below standard, but you just didn't make that top 10% of schools in the state. Mm-hmm. So for this school year, all 4 of our schools, Washington Elementary, Whiteheath Elementary, the middle school and high school, are ranked as commendable. Mm-hmm. We fell couple points short of that cut score at the high school. At the high school, we had 6 consecutive years as exemplary. Mm-hmm. This is our first year not exemplary. We had a little, our chronic absenteeism score hurt us there. Mm-hmm. And then our SAT math and English scores weren't quite up to par compared to last year. So we fell just a couple points short of that exemplary. So we're still proud of our kids, still proud of our staff, and we're looking forward to kind of taking this data and taking a good hard look at it and see how we can improve our scores for next year.
Keep it to Regional Radio in the coming days for more on chronic absenteeism within Monticello schools. News time is 21 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. More to come on the morning show.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
News time is 22 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded local newscast. If you're looking for a children's book recommendation involving agriculture as a Christmas stocking stuffer, Illinois Ag in the Classrooms, Kevin Doherty has all kinds of recommendations.
The Soil in Jackie's Garden. It's by Peggy Thomas, and Peggy is one of our favorite. I'm going to say there's about a number of them, but we love Peggy Thomas. She's written several books. About 10 years ago, she wrote a book called Farmer George Plants a Nation about George Washington. She'd visited Mount Vernon, and she had no idea that Washington was a farmer. And then she did some research because she's written a ton of books, and she found out that nobody had written a book about Washington being a farmer. And she wrote it, and we discovered it, and we had her speak at our national conference. We've had her speak to our coordinators, And I'm like, Jefferson was a farmer, and Lincoln did a lot of stuff with agriculture, and that's where she wrote those others. And several years ago, I told her we needed some soil books. Hard to find a good soil book, hard to write about dirt, but she wrote this one called The Soil in Jackie's Garden. It highlights gardening, composting, and soil. Going to be for sale at annual meeting. We just love Peggy Thomas. You can follow her online as well. She, not only did she write the poem, it's kind of the house that Jack built, but it's the soil in Jackie's garden. So the at the top of the page, the book flips on its side. It's a cool thing for all students, but the book flips on its side, and the poem is up above, and then there's great back matter, the facts about what goes on with soil and how important soil is.
Visit agintheclassroom.org, and under Teacher Resources, click on Book Recommendations. The Illinois Corn Growers Association is hearing from the Illinois Manufacturing Association President and CEO Mark Denzler.
Well, agriculture and manufacturing are linked. There's this great synergy between the two. Illinois, as I like to say, was built on agriculture, manufacturing, and mining. And so the products that farmers make are processed by manufacturers and sold to consumers across the world. And so we have a great relationship, but we also work together on things like carbon capture and sequestration and infrastructure, things that are important to farmers, and agriculture are also important to manufacturers. Well, energy is critically important for everybody, for the homeowner that has to flip on the lights, for the farmer that needs to dry grain, for the manufacturer that's making their product. We have a lot of challenges, not only in Illinois, but across the country. We need to make sure we have enough generation, so when you turn the light switch on, the lights come on. But you also have to make sure that you have grids. You need reliance, you need reliability. And so we really need to focus to make sure we have generation, number one. Number two, that we have transmission lines, and these grids are modern. That is, infrastructure is so critically important, especially with the growth in technology and data, things going to the cloud. We're going to see probably a 3 to 4% use in energy. And actually, I was at a conference last week in Washington, D.C. They're adding worldwide 1,000 terabytes of usage every year, which is the equivalent of putting Japan on the international grid every single year. And so while there's more energy efficiency, the demand is growing.
The Illinois Corn Annual Meeting was last week in Bloomington. There may be a legislative fix for a deer nuisance issue impacting crops in Illinois. The item could get attention during the lame duck session in Springfield early next week, says Illinois Farm Bureau Director of State Legislation, Chris Davis.
There are some things that we will be looking to do legislatively. We were talking to legislators about the deer population during the veto session last week. We are working with the Department of Natural Resources on some things they might be able to do regulatorily and unilaterally through the department, but we're also looking at a legislative fix as well. So there's a lot going on there. There are a lot of conversations. We will be introducing legislation in January. Just still trying to work out some details on what that legislation might look like.
The lame duck session is planned for January 2nd through the 8th. An expert says many phone and online scammers are targeting older Americans. Gary Crawford has this report.
The COVID pandemic brought more than just sickness and a big change in lifestyles. It brought a huge increase in phone and internet scams. Most everybody was stuck at home, and the scammers were taking advantage. In 2020, before COVID really got going, Americans lost just under $20 billion to scammers. That was bad enough, but in 2021, the money lost shot up to about $30 billion. The Federal Trade Commission estimates that last year, 4 out of 5 Americans lost money to scammers.
And unfortunately, older adults are, as a whole, are a particularly favorite target. They're more likely to listen. They are often more trusting, and they're more easily caught off guard.
That's Barbara Stockebrand. She's an extension educator, Kansas State University. But there's another reason that older folks are top targets. It's because they tend to have more assets to steal. That's why many young people report losing some money to phone and online scammers, but actual money lost much greater among Americans 65 and older. But Barbara says it's hard to put a figure on that because older people are less likely to report being scammed, partly because they're embarrassed that they were taken in the first place.
They fear they will be seen as not being able to handle their financial and banking processes anymore, possibly with potential loss of control and independence. fear that their actions may isolate them even more from family or even their familiar environments, and maybe even fear that they may be placed in a nursing home.
And many of us older folks may not remember all of the details of what exactly happened and how they were scammed.
So rather than lose control over their affairs, older adults may hide this type of abuse.
And of course,
the predators are counting on that, and they're counting on those older adults to remain silent.
And the scammers have several scenarios targeted to older potential victims. For example,
someone calling from Social Security needing your personal information or confirming that. Or the IRS with threats of arrest, possibly if outstanding taxes aren't paid. There may be a call or an email. A friend or a grandchild is in trouble and in need of money immediately.
Yes, immediately. That's one clue that it's a scam when they say you need to send money now. Other warning signs of a scam, well, if it comes online or in an email.
It may include bad grammar or incorrect spelling, which is a good sign. It may be coming from another country.
News time is 29 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday. Time now for a look at today's obituaries. 87-year-old Joyce Long of Clinton passed away November 26th. Services for 87-year-old Joyce Long will be today at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton at 11 a.m. with Ernie Harvey Jr. officiating. The burial will follow at Mausoleum Park Cemetery in Clinton. Visitation is from 10 to 11 a.m. today at the funeral home. Memorials can be directed to the Wounded Warrior Project. News is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news comes your way. A look at local sports comes up after that.
With SRN News.